It's really important for B2B technology brands to make sure that they stand out from the crowd. It's very easy to be lost with all the noise. There are so many organisations out there, and so many organisations that are claiming to be faster, more reliable, enable you to have, less issues in your organisation and so forth. So really understanding how you can truly differentiate and being smart with it as well. We don't have unlimited budgets in many organisations like the super brands do. So you really need to think a little bit more creatively and a little bit smarter about how you can really alleviate your brand.
If you suddenly stood out as the risky proposition, that would be the antithesis of a good marketing strategy. But I think at the same time, we have to try and mould these things in a new world whereby brands are more accountable. And brands are more accountable in a whole different number of ways. If there's a groundswell of opinion against your brand, be it a B2B brand or a B2C brand, for whatever you've done, you're going to have to account for that and you're going to have to deal with that. That's something that's new. And that doesn't necessarily fit in the mold of a traditional IT company in the B2B space, high-tech companies, because they're expecting just to deliver the message gets received by the audience buys into it and buys it, hopefully. That world's changed, and that world's gone, actually. I think increasingly what you'll need is to give away control of your brand, to regain control, but in a different way, because what you've done is you've brought your audience alongside you. And I think it was described once to me as, bringing the customer inside the organisation. And I think that's true whatever kind of business you're in.
In terms of whether your brand projects the more rational kind of features, hygiene features, if you like, in terms of making a purchase decision, reliability, flexibility, those kinds of things. I think that a brand will suffer if it focuses too much on those, because your brand needs to be a rallying point for your employees, for your company as a whole, and they need to feel something towards they need to feel something towards that brand. So it needs to be emotionally led. It needs to be aspirational. It needs to be emotional. It needs to tap into those things. So words like passion, should be in there. It's those kind of feelings. And that's what your company is driving and striving towards. Your brand needs to project that. The more hygiene factors, I think is important. But I think that it can be a mistake if you shape your brand around those more hygiene kind of, reliability, flexibility type offerings. Because at the end of the day, everyone does that.
I certainly think there's an opportunity for the smaller organisations, such as the Progresses of this world, to be more challenging in what they do as a brand, to represent, to be different, to try and articulate why people would invest in us versus maybe the major players. And you see certain brands doing that. Quite often they're more of the startup brands, more of the niche brands, rather than sort of the $500 to $1.5 billion companies. But the risk for those companies in that space is that they try to be and operate and talk in the same way as the big companies, because that's what they want to be perceived as. But that's not why people would necessarily engage. So there's certainly an opportunity for us, I believe, to go to the market in a slightly different way, which for me is not necessarily about quirkiness. It's just about the language we use. Maybe we don't use so many jargon phrases. Maybe we talk to people in normal English, which to me is straightforward, but you still don't see that happening. And trying to really break through in that respect, I think, is an opportunity that we have, certainly as a company.
The key things I keep on wanting to come back to is sentiments like truth and honesty and authenticity and respect, trust-based sorts of values. Branding has to be true. You can't game branding. Anyone can write a brochure that says that they're trustworthy or treat their clients with respect and the client is the most important thing to them. But actually, in every experience that people have with your company, is that really the case? If I ask the clients, would they say that's really the case? And that's an area that I think we probably all have work to do in that regard. But I think that's really the focus.